All right, Nick, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. This is a team 2-2, not too far down in the bottom, not all the way at the top like some teams, but they have a lot of good stuff working for them. And we have an article today talking about one aspect of this Browns team that has been very special thus far this season. And it's something that really has kept other teams guessing, and that is why they've been so successful. We're, of course, talking about Jim Schwartz and his defensive scheme that has gotten the Browns a lot of pressure through the defensive line. We have an article, and we're going to get straight on into this, Nick, talking about just exactly how the Browns are creating a lot of pressure and favorable matchups across the defensive line. Let's get into it. This is over from ESPN.com. It says, Schwartz declared before the season the Browns will be bringing the heat on almost every down, and he's made good on that claim. According to Next Gen Stats, Cleveland has sent a blitz on almost 30% of plays this season, up more than 2% from last year. The Browns have also brought at least 6 rushers after the passer 8.1% of the time, a big jump from 2022 and the 9th highest rate in the league. Beginning with Cincinnati, Schwartz has moved Garrett and other pass rushers around to keep offensive lines off balance. That has helped Garrett find the more favorable matchups and avoid constant double teams. Last year, Garrett was double-teamed 31.1% of the time, the highest rate in the league. This year, that's down to 26.9%, a noticeable improvement. Schwartz has also leaned heavily on 3 pass rushers, Garrett, Zadarius Smith, and Okoronkwo, I believe that's how you pronounce it, at once on obvious passing downs to apply more pressure. All of that has translated into pressure rate that ranks 5th in the NFL according to Next Gen Stats. You got to keep the offense guessing, Garrett said. That's what we want to do. We don't want to allow them to get comfortable with us being in one position. So, Nick, all of this says to me, Jim Schwartz knows how to get pressure. He knows how to create favorable matchups, and this scheme really benefits the Browns, especially with how many good pass rushers are on this defensive line. There's a lot of great stuff going on down in Cleveland on the defensive side of the ball. If they can get this offense back on track, and it's not even talent, it's just health. They need to get healthy, get this thing rolling. I think the Browns are good because they have a championship level defense, and they are able to do one of the most important things in the NFL, and that is affect the quarterback, which could be the key to the game this weekend up against the 49ers. A very tough team, Nick, but I want to ask the Browns fans in the comment section below. The defense does some good stuff. Maybe you stand a chance against this juggernaut in the 49ers. We want to know, though, what are your predictions for the Browns-49ers game? Final score in the comment section below. But, Nick, what are your thoughts on this Browns scheme, all Jim Schwartz's madness, and just everything Cleveland Browns?
So it comes down to one word. It's smart. And on this channel, we always like to talk about what smart moves and smart decisions teams are making. This is just a perfect example of it. Because on defense, the Browns are absolutely stacked with talent, but you have to have the strategy and tactical awareness to put your guys in situations to be successful. And then, of course, involves Garrett, who's one of the best, maybe in fact the best defender in the entire NFL. And everything they're doing to create one-on-one matchups to mix up the looks for the offense. It's just smart. A lot of other defensive coordinators don't do that nearly as much. It's so weird to think about, but a lot of defensive coordinators, they really like just to line up and play, or they like to just come up and just send the house, right? That just seems to be like the two modes a lot of defensive coaches like to be in. But really good ones, and Schwartz is one of those really good ones, they move guys around. They put guys in different positions to create matchups. We talk about great offensive play callers and offensive coaches. They're trying to create great matchups for their skilled players. But why don't we see more defensive coaches trying to create great matchups for their skilled players, their pass rushers? And that's exactly what Schwartz is doing here. And the proof is in the pudding, right? The Browns are 2-2. Frankly, they should be 3-1. They bailed out the Steelers. They dominated the Steelers the entire game. Some turnovers and, of course, non-offensive touchdowns really derailed the Browns against that one. But look, they're 2-2. Tough game against Cleveland for Cleveland coming up against the 49ers. That's going to be a tough win. If you pull it off, fantastic. If you don't, I think looking at the schedule in front of you, it really is relatively favorable. You've got the Colts, which I think is winnable. Anthony Richardson is hurt. You go to Seattle, that's tough but beatable. Then you've got Arizona. You go to Baltimore and Pittsburgh, which, again, rivalry games, division games, those are toss-ups. And then you go to the Broncos, very winnable. Rams, very winnable. You have the Jaguars, tough. And then you go Bears, Texans, Jets, 3 winnable games in a row before you finish out against the Cincinnati Bengals. There's a lot of very winnable games in there, and there's a lot of toss-ups in there. If the Browns can continue to be smart on defense, they'll win a lot of these games. Just because on offense, they'll eventually get healthy. They'll eventually figure things out. We saw what happened against Baltimore a few weeks ago with DTR behind center, rookie quarterback. Those games are going to happen with rookie quarterbacks. But as you get healthier, as you figure some things out on offense, your defense will continue to dominate and you'll win a lot of these games if you're Cleveland. And especially since right now, Miles, and you can allude to this, the AFC North, who is good, right? Baltimore blew it against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's in first place, and I kind of think they're a terrible football team. And the Bengals look like the 2019 Bengals. They don't look like a contender we all thought they were. I mean, do you think Cleveland can, if their defense keeps doing this and Schwartz keeps being smart, I think they got a real shot to maybe make some noise in this division.
Well, yeah, the good news is you do not have to beat the 49ers to make the playoffs because that seems like a tall task. Like you alluded to, the AFC North is what is at the top of the Browns list. If you win the North, you make it to the playoffs. It's that simple. How many years have we seen absolutely awful NFC South teams limp in and make a playoff spot when arguably they probably should have not made it? We see this time in and time out, but the Browns, I think in this division, Nick, as you said, they're cannibalizing each other. The Bengals are playing down. The Steelers offense can't score them more 10 points a game. You know, the Ravens, they seem like they have a good team, but they found a way to choke games away twice now against the Rams and the Steelers. The Browns are just as much in this as every other team in the North, and they probably have one of the better defenses in that division full of good defenses. You know, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, great duo. Are they better than Garrett and Smith? I don't know. That's a really tough situation here. Garrett, number 2 ranked edge player in all of football right now, only behind Nick Bosa on the 49ers. So I think this is a really solid defense, a really good tactician, and Schwartz is in control of the Browns defense. So I like their chances, and I think, like you alluded to, if they can figure things out on offense, get healthy, and win the North, that is their route to the playoffs, and that is what they need to be focused on.